Hey guys, welcome back to my video. If you're new here, my name is Rowena and I'm so excited to see you here. In today's video, I'll be deep diving into assessment centers and the different activities that take place within an assessment center. However, I just want to firstly say to you, if you are a graduate or you're still at uni and you have made it to this assessment center, congratulations. If no one has told you, I want to be the first to tell you congratulations. Having gone through this process myself as a graduate, and now 2 years later being here as an assessor on the other side of the table, I know firsthand what it is to be going through this process. It is not easy, and I just want to make sure that someone is telling you that congratulations are indeed in order. The fact that you've made it here, please understand the company has seen worth in you. The most recent assessment center I've done was 6 days ago in March 2024, and in that assessment center initially there were 180 applicants and only 8 persons made it to the assessment center. So if you have made it to the assessment center, congratulations. You have done tremendously throughout the process, and you are seen as the best of all applicants to be suited for this particular situation. So if no one has told you that yet, I am telling you, congratulations, because I know firsthand I am currently towards the ending of my graduate scheme now, and I am going to be a permanent position at the company. But I know firsthand how it was, man, to be going through the application process for this time. It was crazy. Congratulations, and let's deep dive into the video that we're about to talk about, not from applicant's point of view, but now from assessor's point of view. If you know someone who is going to go through an assessment center, if you know a recent graduate, if you know even just someone who has an interview, all of this would be helpful as well. So do share this video with someone. If you're not yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button below. Please also like this video and drop your comments down below so I can know your thoughts as well. I'll be first giving an overview of an assessment center. For those who don't know, I don't want to take it for granted that everyone here knows what that is. Explaining what happens and how do you even get to an assessment center, and then I'll be deep diving into the aspects of an assessment center. And I want to say that this is a typical assessment center. For every company, it may be different. This particular video will be part 1 of 3 videos. In part 2, I'll break down the interview process of the assessment center in greater detail. And in part 3, I'll speak about the presentation. For those who don't know, an assessment center is usually the final stage in a graduate recruitment process. What do I mean by that? I'll use myself as an example. When I was doing my undergraduate studies, it was a 4-year program, and I did first year, second year, had part-time jobs and so forth. My third year was dedicated to placement, so I didn't go into lectures and stuff. I had a placement. I was working full-time at a company, and then I went back for my final year. And after my final year, at that stage, you would look for a graduate job if you're not going to further your studies. But I continued on to do my master's. All right, so there's a difference between placement and graduate role. So that's the first distinction. Placement usually lasts for a year. Graduate positions can tend to last for 2 years or 3 years, and then you may either get a permanent position depending on how the company policy is set up. When you're now searching for a graduate role or graduate placement, graduate scheme, graduate job, or placement role, you usually have a number of stages before you ultimately get the position. The first stage would be obviously submitting your CV, and it might include submitting a CV and a cover letter. For every company is different, so again, you would need to bespoke this for yourself. But in some companies, most times it is you do an online assessment center, and this is just weeding out just weeding out the final candidates. So you might have like some exam that they tell you to do online and so forth, and whoever makes it past that examination stage online or online assessment, they can then proceed to the next level. All right, so first level was submitting your CV, second level online assessments, third level, once you've done online assessments, you might need to do an interview. And then after the interview, then that's where they might take you to the assessment center. And again, as a final step, assessment center usually comprises of 3 main things. So you usually have a group assessment to do, where you are observed by assessors. You usually have to do interview, and you then have to do a presentation. That is a typical assessment day. You go in, and of course, they're going to introduce themselves, give you a bit of introduction, a bit of background on the company, and so forth, right? And then they're going to tell you how the day will proceed. So they'll give you the agenda for the day. Once they give you that, that's when you then go into the 3 different things. And as I mentioned, each company is different, but this is now from a typical perspective, right? So typically you have group work, your individual interviews, and your individual presentation. And that then encompasses of what you would be graded on throughout the day to then decide who would be that final candidate who gets the position. Now, the whole process of getting that job, the recruitment process, it might not go exactly as I've mentioned it because each company is different. It might be that you submit your CV and then the next step for you is assessment center. It's all different. It just depends on what the company wishes to do. And I hope that this video is one of them that will help someone who's in need to understand. The first thing I would tell you to do is make sure you dress the part. First impressions last. Always come smartly dressed. It's better to dress up than to dress down. The most recent assessment center where I was one of the interviewers, we had 8 candidates who were chosen for this final step. And of that 8, 1 turned up in hoodie and stuff, right? Where everybody else was smartly dressed. And that one naturally stood out because they're like, oh wow, it's different. And fair enough, that person did joke about it, oh, I clearly didn't get the memo. But it's just what I mean. And that didn't necessarily have an impact on their grading. Don't get it twisted. It didn't have an impact on their grading. But it's just that it was noticeable. You were in hoodie and you're coming to an assessment center, whereas everyone else is in their suit and their best fits and stuff. So dress smartly, as smart as you can dress, because at the end of the day, you are presenting yourself. It's an assessment day where we're basically grading you as a person, right? So you want to make sure that you are looking the part so that we can think, okay, yeah, this person does, look like they could fit into the part, right? Okay, 2, understand that an assessment day is used to observe you, your whole person, how you are within these 3 things. As I mentioned, there are 3 exercises. However, you are also observed outside of these exercises when it's lunchtime and how you're interacting with the rest of the candidates and how you're interacting with the interviews if you have questions and stuff. Your entire person is being assessed because at the end of the day, the company is going to want to make sure that you're the right fit for the team. And the right fit for the team doesn't just mean that, oh, you have a good presentation skills. Your personality plays a part into that as well, because you want to make sure that the organization also fits the person so that you are okay and the company is okay. So understand that from the moment you step in, you are being assessed. So present yourself as such. It is worth it to do that for yourself, because at the end of the day, if you are of a certain personality and you realize that, okay, this company is not somewhere I would mesh in, you would know that as much as you want the job, the company also wants you. Do you understand? And you want to make sure that your work life is a good one. It's not stressful, none of that, right? So you want to make sure that you are okay, your personality is being displayed and you're an authentic self, but also make sure that you understand that you are being assessed on everything. For assessment centers that I have personally sat on to assess, I've seen where group works always happen first, right? And I think it kind of eases everyone into the day. I think they don't want to start off rigid with an interview. I think the group exercise helps to break down any ice and stuff, because understand that these are random people chosen from all different parts, right? And they're coming and they're seeing each other for the first time. It's not like they're old friends and they're coming here. So when you have to do a group work, it makes you have to interact with the other persons who you're competing in a sense with. Now, for the group exercise, they'll give you a scenario, right? So they'll give you a particular scenario and they'll read it out to you. They'll tell you that you went to this place and you guys were in the group and something happened and you have these list of items. They have 15 items and now you need to group these items in most important, right, ranking. So from 1 to how many numbers, so from 1 to 20, 1 to 10, 1 to 15, whatever it is of importance, right? But you as a group need to decide that, okay? So sometimes what can happen is they may say, you take 5 minutes and you rank them yourself. So individually you're ranking them, but bear in mind you will be stuck with your group, but individually you'll be ranking them. And then after that 5 minutes is completed, they may say then, okay, you have 15 minutes to discuss as a group what the ranking should be. So that's when you all come together now and you're putting them together, discussing these items, discussing the scenario that you're placed in and why you think these items should be at a certain number, certain ranking, and so forth, right? And then afterwards, they may say to you, okay, present your ranking to us, and we'll actually tell you the actual ranking or how it should be. Some companies can put a twist to this, so they can give you the actual ranking and then tell you to then do it over and see if you want to change your answers or stick with them, and then you then present and tell us why. You may be wondering, how am I assessed in a group situation? What are they looking for? We're looking for a number of things, right? So one, for the whole point of a group work is to see how well you work with other people, really and truly. And I've seen examples where a lot of people just think that it means they need to be the leader and they need to push you and they say, no, we got to do it this way and so forth. Understand there's a very thin line between you being assertive and you also being seen as a bully. And I've seen this be the downfall of many people, that they think that they should be the leader and so they're making a decision and they're saying to people, oh, no, we're doing this way, this way, this way. For most times that I've seen, it's not the best way because it just comes across as if you do not listen to anyone. At the end of the day, when you're in a graduate position, you yourself will not be in a leadership position straight off the bat. Right? Because remember, you're starting as a graduate into this new company. Yes, you're on track to be some form of management and so forth, hopefully in the future. But when you just start, you'll be working with a team. You need to take instruction, you need to listen, and you need to be able to say, okay, I may feel differently, but I am okay to actually listen and take your feedback and bring that forward to just make the team move forward. I don't always have to be right. And so I think sometimes people don't understand that, and that is a downfall. I've seen areas where people, just overshadow everybody else. And especially when there are groups where, there's one person that may be outspoken, but another person that may be really timid, maybe. Then that person who is outspoken just overshadows everything, and it's not always the best way. With a group assignment, understand this. Working together helps, right? We assess how you work together. Do you listen to people, right? Do you encourage teamwork? Are you interacting with everyone across the board? Are you making sure that person who is shy, are you listening to them? Are you encouraging them to speak up? Are you motivating them to say, oh, what did you think? That when you do like small actions like that, it just shows that yes, you're a team player. Like you want everybody to be speaking. Why? Because we do understand and appreciate in this world that diversity matters, and when there's a lot of diversity, then there is a higher chance that the results and the output from that team is a lot better than if there's just a group of the same minded people, right? Yes, there's an amount of leadership quality that we do look for, right? Whilst we don't want you to overpower others, we want you to also take initiative to lead the team to a consensus. After all, it's a group work. We want to make sure that you're doing timekeeping, right? So you're saying, okay, guys, we have 10 minutes left. What do we think about this? Or where should we go? And so forth. I've even seen in one situation where the person who actually got the highest mark from a group assessment was someone who their ranking was the best. Like when they, as I mentioned, they might sometimes tell you have 5 minutes to do your individual ranking. When that person went and did their individual ranking, they got it to the T, right? But now when they came in a group scenario, the other members of the group were saying, oh, we don't think that's the right one because and they were giving their arguments and so forth for it and why not. And even though this person understood that he was right and he believed that he was right, he said, okay, no problem. If you guys all think so, since it's a group work at the end of the day, like it's a democracy. So in this scenario, if you all think this should be the answer, I will happily go with it just because the team is saying that. That scored him high marks. Why? Because not only did we know that he knew that his answer was okay, but we also saw that he was able to work with a team and come to some form of consensus just to move the project along. You will find that in your professional life that not everyone will agree with you. And even if you know that you are right, sometimes you just have to take it and say, okay, guys, okay, no problem. If the team thinks this, we move along with it just because you want the program to proceed. And we saw that. So just bear that into mind as well. Also, when you're doing a team building and the team group exercise, we also are looking and grading for how you plan and organize stuff, right? Are you establishing courses of action for yourself and others to ensure that the work is completed efficiently? Are you given objectives? Are you planning on doing things? Like, how are you organizing this to make sure that you are getting the objective at the end of the time frame that you were given? So you have 20 minutes to put 15 objects in a list of priority. How are you organizing and making sure that this is going how it should be going, so that at the end of the 20 minutes, you're not still having to plan and having to rush through like what should be done? Also, decision making and initiating action. Again, there's some amount of leadership quality that we do look for. Are you able to speak up? Are you able to say, okay, guys, no, for this one, I definitely think we shouldn't do it like this. But I think we should do it like this because XYZ. Right? Because whilst we don't want to overpower everybody else, you should be able to speak up and initiate decision making as well, because we do want to know that you have a mind of your own and you're not just being led by everything and being, pushed here and pushed here. You identify problems and you have good solutions, because identifying problems by itself is okay, but when you have a solution to the problem, that is of more value, because that tells me then that if I were your manager and you found an issue, while you were raising the issue to me, you have already thought about possible solutions. And while those solutions might not be the best one, I would still appreciate the fact that you thought of something that could potentially make this better. Also, what we listen for is communication skills. Are you listening to others? All right? Are you backing down sometimes and not speaking too much, like speaking over everybody else? Are you able to take one for the team, so to speak, and so forth? So that's what we really look for in a group assessment. Right? Don't always overpower. Don't be too overpowering everybody else. Don't do that, because you just speak over everybody. It tells me that you potentially won't take directions well, because you will always want to be in that position where you are telling people but you won't listen, and that is not a good team player. So that is the whole purpose of a group assessment. I hope this is like very clear so that you guys can understand what it means when you see those assessors and then marking things down on paper and stuff. We are marking down everything, your action. We're marking down the situation. What situation are you given? And we follow the STAR thinking process. So STAR, if you haven't watched any of my previous videos on interviews and stuff, STAR, STAR, it's an acronym, right? And it stands, STAR is situation, right? It's telling me the current climate of what you are in, right? T is task. What do you have to do in this current climate? What is it that you are tasked with? What is it that you have to do? A is action. Okay, what actions have you taken? So now you know your situation, you know the task that you have to do, something that you have to do, right? What are your actions, right? And then R is results. Results meaning what has happened because of your action. What are the effects of your actions? Always answer and give your feedback in that pattern, because it's a good storytelling pattern as well. It helps me as an assessor to fully understand and grasp the entirety of a situation if you tell me all of those, right? So I hope this video was beneficial for you. I hope you have appreciated this point of view. 6 days ago, I was in an assessment center assessing candidates on this, and I see that sometimes they lack understanding of what is expected of them and what is being graded, maybe. Then they can be the only reason why they get a lower grade than they could have potentially gotten. I hope this was beneficial for you. And as I said, if you're not yet subscribed, do subscribe. And please check out part 2 of the video where we go into interviews, and then part 3 as well where we delve into presentations. I hope you have somewhat of a clearer understanding of what an assessment day is.